guess the story really begins. It was the day of the spring 2005 bridal bazaar, and we just put in a good 8 hours worth of work soliciting business for the commercial side of the production company. It was that night, and Larry Copitelli and I were packing up equipment when Spriggle comes back to my house, and he's in a mad craze, and he says, "James, you gotta grab your equipment. Get the night vision cameras, get the lights, get everything you need. You have to come with me. I can't tell you where, but you have to come with me. Trust me, it's gonna be worthwhile." And I said, "Spriggle, man, you're crazy. I'm not gonna go on another one of your crazy ultra-suburban adventures. I'm tired, I'm exhausted. You can't even tell me what it is. Forget it. I know it's nuts." He says, "No, you absolutely have to come with me. Whatever you do, you have to come with me."
Okay, I'm Sean Spriggle, and this was an idea I had. I was out to dinner with my brother and some of his friends, and I had gotten directions to this house. So right after dinner at about midnight, I went straight to James's house, and I had this idea in my head. I knew it was going to be some crazy adventure. I didn't really know what to expect, but I knew that we had to go that night, and we were going to go and we were going to film it. And whatever happened was going to happen. I was just sure it would be an interesting night. So I came over, I got James and Larry ready to go, and I wouldn't tell them where we were going. I just said, pack up the equipment and dress for an adventure. We're going out. And so, they both just trusted me because I wouldn't tell them anything, and got in my car. We started heading there. About halfway there, James figured out where we were going, and he instantly did not want to go. He was very, very forceful and obvious about that, and he was so worked up that Larry was kind of getting spooked. He didn't really know where we were going at the time, but James was worked up enough for the both of them.
I'd recall the conversation Spriggle had with a friend of ours the night before at a party, where he had been told about the secret location of the Heaven's Gate house, and that it was still there, and it was open, and it was vacant, and there for the taking.
But I'm pretty stubborn when I get an idea in my head, so I said, "No way, we're going. If you don't want to go in, then I'll go in by myself." But the good friends that they are, they weren't going to let me go in by myself, so they came with me.
The interesting thing about this film is that we didn't intend on it being an actual film. I had gone on this project on Spriggle's word that this would be something worthwhile. I had no idea at first what we were in store for, and really, I have to honestly say, it didn't occur to us to cut this into a feature film until after the fact of reviewing the footage and seeing how scary it actually was. And I believe it was when we had a couple of girls in the studio that took a look at it and scared the hell out of them. And then, of course, the light bulb goes off in our head and it's like, hey, maybe we've got something here.
He told me that they had a great idea and they were going to go on it. So, when they told me, I kind of brushed it off. I thought it was going to be another, one of our assignments, or should I say shoots, it was going to be very orthodox, but when we got there, what I expected was completely different.
Hearing about these stories, these guys doing a project at this house in Rancho Santa Fe. I guess they'd been there a couple times before, and I'm like, okay, sure, I'll go, not, really realizing exactly the location or significance of it. We get there, and I don't know why the hell I went, It's just one of those things, they need a cameraman, okay, I'll go and help them out. But, let's see, seems to be stuck with things like that.
When we first got there, we pulled up and we looked right out the window and we could see the front door. And it was this long, you can see in the video, walkway all over ground, and the door was halfway open. Almost like, like an evil spirit was like, welcoming us in, inviting us in. And so that was a little creepy, but, we were all set on going in there. We'd come all this way. We weren't going to give up just because we got a little scared. So we go in there, and instantly, the second I walked through the threshold, it was a very, very heavy experience. It was a totally different feeling inside the house. The atmosphere completely changed.
We have our equipment, we have our gear, we're prepared, we're ready to go shoot this thing. But, by the time we got there, it had completely changed. When I first saw the front gate, I don't know, I just got this feeling of dread. That wait a second, what am I actually getting myself into?
Oh, the scariest part was when we arrived and the door was halfway open. My heart just sank into my stomach. I had the weirdest feeling, like this entity on me, like this is going to be the end of me, I had no idea what was going to happen in that house, but it was just a dark experience and something I always remember. you know.
When I saw the front door, I don't know, I couldn't believe it. There basically was no front door. It was hanging off its hinges, you know. I had expected this house to be beautiful. I'd expect this house to be, you know, kept clean, neat. You know, it's in Rancho Santa Fe. It's a very, very, very high-class, rich area. So, yeah, I didn't think anything of it. And when I got there, and there's weeds everywhere, there's bushes, to me, it just, the outside itself just looks like a haunted house, you know? If you can imagine a haunted house in your head, in your mind, if you can imagine one, this would be it. This is a real-life haunted house now, you know? The place hasn't been kept at all. It's completely trashed. So you see this front door, and right away you know exactly what you're in for.
I can honestly say that before, during, and after, I did not want to be in that place. I found it evil and disturbing and frankly quite frightening. And then when you start thinking about the kind of things that happened there and the circumstances involved, and that there you are standing in this exact location almost a decade later, you know, it really starts to mess with your mind. And as you watch the film, I think you can see that our psyches begin to change, and the more time we spend in that house, the just darker it becomes, and the more terrifying, and the more we begin turning on each other, and role reversal and things like that.
I saw the front door. I didn't realize the house was that close to the street. You know, I thought, oh shit, you know, we're lighting up this whole place, and well, technically, hey, we can be there. There's no sign saying we can't be there or anything. It's in an old abandoned property, and we go inside and shut the door.
I was always, like I said, I was always watching my back, make sure nobody comes up behind me. And we only had those, like, what, 3 lights to keep us around, and that wasn't enough in that house. That was not enough in the house.
I began to really see what this could be, and you know, how exciting of an event this actually was for us, and the fact that I may never get to come back here again. I became a little bit more motivated as we went along. As for the others, though, I think that's a different story. Poor Rollo absolutely did not want to be there, was absolutely there on good faith for the both of us, and was pretty much just an innocent bystander watching Spriggle and I as a couple of crazy maniacs running through this empty house, tearing drawers apart and looking in closets and bathroom stalls and things like that.
It's trashed. You know, the windows are boarded up. You don't know what's in the other room. There's glass everywhere. There's blood on walls. There's blood here. Yeah, it's like, you know, what is going on in this house? Why is it that years later, you know, this house is still a mess? It's still thrashed and it hasn't been kept at all. Why is that? You know, you'd think that throughout some of this time they'd either get rid of it or they'd fix it up, you know. But instead now it's like they leave it there in memory of.
There was a part of the film that once we got it into the studio and began editing it, we found that it just simply didn't fit with the storyline, and unfortunately I think it's some of the best footage that we got. What happened was, after we'd all gone through the house together, I wanted to go in by myself and you know, see if there was any different experience waiting for me. So at first, you know, James and Larry were very hesitant. They didn't want to let me go in by myself, but, you know, stubborn me, I wasn't going to take no for an answer. So I convinced them to wait by the car. I went into the house by myself with a night vision camera. And it was definitely eerie and spooky and a little scary, but it had been like that before with both of them, so I kept on going. And I immediately went upstairs. I was kind of drawn to this one room for some reason. I don't really know why I wanted to go there first, but I just did. It was the room in the corner at the top of the stairs. And I went in there, and when I went in, it was literally 25, 30 degrees colder in there. I mean, I was like shivering. It was freezing. And I was wearing, as you can see in the film, a sweatshirt and pants, and I was fine before. So I go into the room and it's freezing, and I swear I could feel hands and fingers pulling down on my shoulders and running down my back, almost like pulling me into the ground. And I couldn't shake this feeling that somebody or something was behind me and watching me. And you know, of course I was like turning around, trying to look and see if there was anybody there. And I was trying to tell myself, oh, you know, it's just my imagination. You know, I came in by myself expecting to get scared, so my brain's creating this. But I tried to make myself stay in that room, and I couldn't. I freaked out. And the whole night I had really, although it probably doesn't look like it on film, I've been really, really calm and very confident and sure, and not really letting my fear get to me at all. But when I got in this room, I was in it for probably 4 or 5 seconds, maybe even 10, and it seemed like minutes. And after I went in that room, I got really freaked out, and I immediately went straight for the front door and out at a very quick pace. All right, you guys got flashlights. I'll meet you back at my car in a few minutes, okay?
You need to open the trunk so we can put this away.
Here, I'll give you my keys. Hang on.
Dude, come and just open it up.
No, I'm just giving you my keys, man. I'm going back in. Here. Catch, Larry. Okay, going back in by myself. Okay, here we go. I'm going into the house. Haley's comment by myself. Going back into the rooms that we looked in before. There's an alarm that I did not notice before. Motion sensors. Definitely a lot freakier by myself. There's a very bad smell in here. Okay, just the same as when I was in here before. Walking through. Definitely freaking out right now. I'm very, very afraid. I have a very bad feeling right now. This just does not seem right. Thinking about all the people that committed suicide unnecessarily in this house. Me being in here alone, the dilapidated state of this house, all the destruction that's taken place, the uninhabitation of a beautiful house. Okay. Keep feeling like there's somebody behind my shoulder. I'm sure that's just my mind playing tricks on me. So far I've found nothing unusual. Same things I found when I was with James and Larry. Okay. Okay. I'm starting to feel very cold. Ooh, very, 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 very cold in this room. I don't know if it's my mind playing tricks on me. But I'm feeling very, 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 very cold in this room. Feels like fucking... Oh, okay, I'm leaving this room now. Okay, the cold is following me. I'm completely cold now. I'm gonna stay calm though. Came here for a reason. I'm not gonna let my fear take hold of me. I don't know what these holes are. If they're... I don't know what those holes are. Suddenly the house is a lot colder now.
a lot colder. It's getting very, very, very cold in here. I'm actually starting to shiver. It's a lot colder than when I was in here with James and Larry. And I'm gonna leave now. Yes, it's very, very cold in here. It's a lot colder than when I was in there with James and Larry. Okay, I feel a lot colder now. And here are James and Larry. And I'm back with James and Larry. I feel a little bit better, but I'm still pretty cold. No, I'm warm again. Okay, I don't know what the fuck just happened. I don't know if that was my mind playing tricks on me or not, but it just got really, really cold when I went into that room up there. But before we leave, there's one thing I have to do. The tape is running out. I need to take a tour of the property. I need to do it quickly because the tape is running out.
But it was a very different and unique approach that we all took on making this, and that's why we can claim that it's real, because it is. We're there, we're in the house, we're feeling the fear, we're looking at this place and we're thinking the same thoughts you might be when you're actually watching this film.
Honestly, we had weapons to keep us safe, just in case, whatever lurks inside of this house. You know, of course we'll never use them, but if we have to, we will. With a project like this, there's no safety involved. So yeah, basically, I was scared. Honestly, I was scared, and I was even more scared when I got inside the house. When I got inside the house, it almost got to the point where I forgot I was shooting, you know? I had to remind myself over and over again that, you know, this is a documentary. Shoot it as best as you possibly can, but still, I just couldn't do that because of how frightened I was, you know? I don't know, the whole time, I didn't want to be there. The whole time I was thinking to myself, you know, geez, what have these guys got me into, you know? The whole time I was thinking I just wanted to be home and secure and safe, in a safe environment, because this house, I don't know what's going on.
Obviously, as you can see by the end of the film, we do in fact get busted by the San Diego Sheriff's Department. That was not staged, that was real. We were taken out of the house at gunpoint, and there were more cops there than I've ever seen in one place, and it was not a happy situation. It took me about 6 months to get my equipment back going through the court system. I had to consult at least 3 attorneys on the situation. All in all, for business-wise and production-wise with the company, it was not a good situation. It put the entire company on hold for at least 6 months.
So we get to a point in the house where there is an attic, and of course, you know, as filmmakers, we have to tackle that, and we have to go up there and we have to shoot it. But I did not want to go up there. Neither did Wes. So basically, James Storm and Sean Spriggle had gone up there to, you know, to do a little investigation up there.
Well, yeah, we go up, Roll and I, you know, okay, these guys are messing around and we really have to go to the bathroom, and unlike James, we don't want to do anything inside the house, so decided to go outside out the driveway. I see something over by the car, I'm not quite sure what it is. I point my flashlight over to it, and it's like this big brown creature, and I'm like, oh shit, what is over there? And like, shine my flashlight at it, and as soon as, you know, just a bunch of people come rushing with flashlights and guns drawn, yelling, get on the ground, and, you know, not even saying who they were. I thought there's some crazy mob coming to kidnap us, take us away somewhere.
Wes and I had left the second floor. We went through the garage. We went through, we actually went through the garage, out into the front of the house, and we were walking. All of a sudden, I see, you know, like 8 or 9 flashlights pointing my way, and the feeling that I've gotten, I've never felt like this ever in my life. I was so scared. I couldn't believe it. You know, I almost passed out. You see these 8 lights. I'm scared to death anyways, being there all night. The last thing I wanted to do was, you know, have to stay there another few hours. And you see these lights, and all of a sudden they start moving and charging at me. And, you know, I don't know. At this point, I don't know what is going on. All I know is that there's 8 or 9 guys screaming at me, yelling at me, get down, throw down your weapons, do whatever, you know, whatever cops do, just get down, you know, get down on the ground. And I couldn't believe it. I almost passed out, seriously. It was the most unbelievably frightening feeling I've ever felt in my entire life. didn't know who it was, like maybe some cult, you know, maybe some crazy people that were upset that we're, you know, disturbing their surroundings. These flashing lights that were charging at me, yelling for me to get down, they didn't identify themselves as police at first. So I had no idea who was charging me. I had no idea. And I immediately felt like my life was threatened and I was scared to death. You know, I know 100% that the feeling of the house amplified that feeling. If I was somewhere else and the same exact thing happened, I probably wouldn't, you know, care so much or be as scared. But the fact that I was at this morbid mansion, you know, made me feel, you know, unbelievably threatened. And yeah, I dropped to the ground immediately and just, I don't know, it was a horrible feeling, like of death. And then I finally realized that they were police officers. And the funniest part is that I immediately was happy. Why are you laughing? I was, you know, as funny as it may sound, the whole time as I was traveling through the house, down the hallway, at the very end of the hallway, was Marshall Applewhite's room, right? It was the master bedroom, and that was basically going to be our last stop, for me at least. And the whole time I kept looking down there, and I just didn't want to go in there for some reason. I just didn't. I'm sure there was nothing there, but for some reason I kept telling myself I do not want to go down there. I don't know what's there, and I don't care to know what's there. Of course I had a job to do though, so I have to go there. So the whole time I knew that, you know, eventually my night's gonna lead into that room, which I didn't want to. So when I saw these cops, I almost just had a feeling of relief that, wow, this is over, you know. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't care. The only thing I cared about is getting our tapes. That's the only thing that crossed my mind. Like, wow, are they gonna actually take our equipment or what? You know, what's actually gonna happen? The good news is that we got it all back, and you know, we have a presentation for you.
The next most important thing working on this film was the original musical score. We had lost one member of our sound design team, leaving just Larry Copatelli as the sole sound designer and musical composer of the project.
Well, it was a rough process, but I took it one day at a time, thinking how I was going to do this. So I would set aside time to score and sound engineer the sounds too, because the audio was bad, so I had to fix up the audio. And luckily the audio was not as bad as I thought, but I worked it out, and being by myself was hard.
I relied a lot on influences from my past. You know, Disneyland, the Haunted Mansion was a major influence on the music of this project. The way I saw it, this was the definitive haunted house. It was a real location. It was not stage. It was not fake. It was there the way it was left 10 years ago, and here we are walking through it, and we really wanted to capture that sort of a feeling, you know. So I knew we wanted to have a lot of, you know, heavy dark organs and, you know, cellos and, you know, very sort of, you know, classical gothic type overtones to accent the you know, dark moments of this film, you know, as well as the lights.
The way that the movie works with all the action, I really had to think about what was I wanted to do here, and I started coming up with like these symphony orchestrated pieces that would just work, you know. After watching the scene over and over again, it just started to make sense to me.
After we had gone to the house and had the experience that we did, and ended up doing a lot of research on it, found out all about the cult and the inner workings of it and the house and everything, all the information we could dig up and find, and educated ourselves on the subject. Not until then did it really hit me that what we experienced that night was not only something extremely powerful, but something a little bit beyond explanation, beyond our reasoning. I know it's something that's going to stay with me for the rest of my life, and it was an experience that I wouldn't trade for anything.
I think about what I actually learned from this project, and I can tell you I learned a lot, and it was something that I could have only learned from being there and you know, working on this project.
All in all, I don't regret it, but, sometimes you wish you do things differently.
What does the film mean to me? Well, I think the film could mean a lot of different things. I think it is partly a memorial when you watch this film. It's like walking through an empty graveyard and just taking back and absorbing what had happened there and what exactly those events mean and how they relate to us. What does it mean for me personally? Well, on a lot of levels, I think I proved a few things to myself. Bravery is one of them. Following Spriggle into the dark, empty guts of an evil haunted house such as that place was not something I'd ever think a situation I'd find myself in, but looking back, I'm glad that I went through with it, and I'm glad that I, had the guts and I was able to, keep my wits about me, and that I was able to use my head and get us through this situation. This film will always, for me, remain a very sort of special and intimate project. The bonds that you create with your, coworkers and your friends while working on a project like this will last forever, but it's just one of these films that probably couldn't have happened if we wanted it to. If we had staged it, wouldn't have been as good. The very fact that it was a real situation, we did not intend on making a film, and that it's very raw and very guerrilla style filmmaking, but that's okay. I think it adds to the reality and the horror of the situation. So I hope you enjoy our film. This won't be the last in the series. As a matter of fact, we already have our sequel in the can, so stay tuned.